Hi everybody, good morning. So today I woke up, I went on YouTube, and I saw a video that caught my eye. As you can see here, CNBC Television released this video today. Here are 4 steps this woman used to save $100,000 by the time she turned 25. I'm pretty sure they meant here are 4 steps, or maybe they meant here, like with your ear, here 4 steps. Either way, they gotta fix this title so that it makes a little more sense. CNBC needs to get it together. Alright, the description: Tori Dunlap know how to save money. Seriously? The founder, her first 100K, has helped thousands of women turn around their budgets and start saving money. Watch this video to learn how to fix your finances. Again, who is editing this? Like, come on. Get it together, CNBC. But yeah, obviously $100,000 by the time you're 25, that's very impressive. I reached my first $100,000 when I was 31, I believe. But 25, that's like almost fresh out of college. So that's pretty impressive. I'm pretty sure most people would want to learn how to do that. So let's see what Tori Dunlap has to say.
My name is Tori Dunlap. I'm the founder of Her First 100K, a money and career platform for women. And I saved $100,000 at age 25.
Yeah, like I said, it's pretty impressive, the feat that she accomplished. And I'm glad that she's focusing on women specifically for financial education, because a lot of women I've talked to, they are not very familiar with how to invest and save money and budget and things like that.
So I get asked a lot, where do I start? I want to start saving money, but I also have student debt, but I also think I need to be saving for retirement, but also I think I want to buy a house someday. Like, what do I do?
Yeah, that's a big problem, because I've met a lot of people and I've talked to them about their finances, and a lot of them don't even know where to start because there's so many things to take care of at once. There's student loan debt, there's credit card debt, you want to save money for investing, you want to save for a down payment on a house. Like, there's so many things at once, right? So it becomes overwhelming and it's hard to figure out where to even begin. So yeah, that is a huge problem.
Number one thing is an emergency fund. You hear from a lot of different financial experts that really debt is the first thing you should do, and I wholly disagree with that. We've seen, especially in the last year, just how important an emergency fund is, and we save for the emergency fund for 2 reasons. One is that I don't want you going into more debt trying to pay for an emergency, and 2, it just gives you some mental stability and peace of mind knowing that you have something in the bank. That should be at least 3 months of living expenses in a high yield savings account.
Yeah, I agree that this is pretty important, because as we've seen in the past year in 2020, things happen. Like, the pandemic came out of nowhere, nobody expected it, and a lot of people got laid off, a lot of people had unforeseen medical expenses that they had to pay, things like that. So emergencies do come up, so it is important to have money for emergencies stashed away, so when they do happen, you have money to pay for them. She said 3 months? Oh my goodness, that should be the bare minimum, because look how long this pandemic has lasted. Like, it's lasted a long time, you know? So, I mean, ideally, people would have many, many months of emergency funds saved up, right? But, yeah, I think in general, it is important to have an emergency fund in general.
Second is you're going to start paying off your high interest debt. This is typically anything over 7% in interest. So most credit cards, right? I think all credit cards are over about 15%. And if you have multiple sources of debt, if you have multiple credit cards, go ahead and start paying down the one that has the highest interest rate, because that is costing you the most money. The reason 7% is that kind of magical number is 7% is the average amount of money that you can be earning in the stock market, right? That's about 7% interest year over year. So if it's costing you more money to be in debt that you could be making by investing, you're going to prioritize paying that off first.
Yeah, and this is directed obviously at people in general, the general population, right? Because me personally, if I could get a loan at like 10%, and I can use call debit spreads and invest it in a certain way that would get me at least 20% a year. So for me personally, I would still take on loans that have at least like 10 or 12% interest, because I know that I can confidently invest it in spreads and make a lot of money back. However, most people in general don't really know how to do that. They're not familiar with that. And if they invest, they're probably investing in like funds that they just leave there and watch it grow. So this is good advice for the general population to just focus on high interest debt first, because generally most people can't outperform that. So it's really good advice for people in general to take care of high interest debt first.
And number 3 is kind of a combo. You're going to start saving for retirement while paying down your lower interest debt, anything under 7%. For most people, that's student loans, mortgages, and car loans. So saving for retirement means that you are putting money in a tax advantage retirement account like a 401k or an IRA. And a tax advantage retirement account means that the government is incentivizing you to save for retirement by offering you tax breaks.
Yeah, it's a really good idea to take advantage of tax advantage retirement accounts, because most people, they plan to retire like in their 60s, in their old age, right? After they've been working for many, many years. And the government, they give you these type of tax advantaged accounts like 401ks and Roth IRAs so that you can save money and then take advantage of your money that you saved up and invested when you're retired. Now, the thing is, there are plenty of rules. Like you have to be, I think, 59 and a half years old to start taking out the money. Without incurring any penalties. You have to have the account for, I believe, some number of years. There's many rules for these accounts, right? But you do have advantages in terms of tax. So Roth IRA, for example, I used a Roth IRA personally for many years. And how that works is the money that I put into a Roth IRA, it's already taxed. However, I can watch it grow throughout the years without paying tax on it. And when I turn 59 and a half years old, I could withdraw the money and not have to pay tax on it. So it's a lot of tax advantages with these type of accounts if you use them. So for the general population, it's a great idea to take advantage of these retirement accounts that give you tax benefits.
Number 4 is what I like to call saving for the big stuff. Buying a house, having kids, taking that dream vacation, getting married, starting a business, retiring early. These big things in life that you want to start saving for.
That's it? That's kind of a misleading title. I was expecting her to talk about how she saved $100,000 by the time she turned 25, but the video was mostly just advice for people in general on how to invest their money wisely. Something that bothers me about this is because these steps that you just look at and you follow along, if you have enough money to pay your rent and your bills and food and things like that, then you can have enough money to save up for an emergency fund, to pay down high interest debt and things like that. But if you're living paycheck to paycheck, or if you're really struggling financially, it's very hard to follow these steps and save up for an emergency fund and pay down your high interest debt and things like that, because you're struggling and it's hard to really even just survive and pay the bills. So I feel like this is leaving out a very important part of the process, which is finding a high income job, or at least high income enough so that you can actually pay all your bills and save up for these things and follow these steps. Yeah, but for the people that this video actually applies to, who have a high income and they make enough money to pay for everything and have enough money to save up for an emergency fund and paying down debt and things like that, this is very useful information in this video. But yeah, I find it troublesome that they left out the income part of this process. Let's look at some of the comments. Title: Here are 4 steps this woman used to save $100,000 by the time she turned 25. Video: doesn't mention income once. Exactly. Like I just said, income is an extremely important part of this entire process. If you're not making enough money to do these things, you're not going to be able to follow along these steps and save for an emergency fund and pay down high interest debt and things like that. So yes, having enough money to do these steps in the first place is very important. Let's see. Step 1, have a job that pays $100,000 per year. Exactly. If you're making enough money per year, if you're making 6 figures, if you're making that much money, then you can actually take advantage of this information in this video and follow along and do these steps. But like I said, if you're not making that much money, it's very hard to even do these steps in the first place, right? So income is an extremely important part of the strategy. That sounds great, but there's only so much money one can make a week to save or pay off bills. Exactly. Yes. It's the same thing over and over I'm hearing, right? Income matters a lot. How much money you make matters a lot. And I made a video about this before, but this is why I believe that investing is not just a separate topic by itself. How much money you're making at your job, what your income is, how much debt you're in, the types of debt you're in, how much money you're spending on food and rent and things like that. All this is connected. And I feel like this video, it's kind of separating investing by itself and not taking into account the income that a person has, right? And I think that's something that would help out this video a lot, is by talking about income in relation to how to follow along on these steps. But overall, for the people that this video does apply to, for the people who actually do make enough money to follow along on these steps, this is a very informative video. I like it. But yeah, it's a little out of touch with people who are struggling and can't afford to follow along with these steps. Me personally, I was living in poverty and I was very poor growing up, so I couldn't really afford to follow along in these steps until like very recently, where I finally started getting some high income paying jobs and enough money to pay my bills and things like that. But yeah. All right, those are my thoughts on this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you guys in my next one. Bye.